The 1987 presidential election season opens up with Republican Rutherford Hayes slightly behind Democrat Samuel Tilden as they face off in a high turnout election. Hayes is the reformist governor of Ohio, while Tilden is the governor of New York, who has fought heavily against corruption. Key issues of this race include Reconstruction, tariffs, and corruption. With the shadow of the Grant administration looming large, can Hayes secure yet another term of Republican dominance, or can Tilden flip the script? In the real world, this election was heavily contested and brought about the Compromise of 1877, ultimately giving the election to Hayes. Hello everybody, welcome back to the video, and today we're playing the election of 1876 on the new campaign trail. So, a little bit of background info. This is, a lot of people say 2020 is the most controversial election. Might be a close second to this one, right? Basically, Tilden is the only presidential candidate, I believe, to win over 50% of the popular vote, but lose electorally. There was a bunch of stuff that went down. Basically, back then you had to get 185 electoral votes. Tilden got 184. And ultimately, basically, a few states were uncalled for, or basically a few states were sort of not ambiguous, too close to call. So it ultimately had to be a full-blown investigation into it, which ultimately gave Hayes the votes and gave him the exact number of votes needed to win the presidency. So, yeah, most controversial election for sure, but we're going to try to play as Samuel Tilden. Samuel Tilden is the incumbent governor of New York, leading a Democratic sweep of the statewide offices in the 1874 elections. Tilden supported the Union during the Civil War, which helped him blunt attacks from those waving the bloody shirt around, and was a protege of former President Martin Van Buren, which has helped give experience. Noted as a reformer, he's fought against corruption from the Tammany Hall political machine during his tenure as governor, and had to overcome incredibly strong opposition from honest John Kelly, the leader of Tammany Hall, in order to secure the nomination. He starts out as the early favorite to win due to the unpopularity of the Grant administration and the lack of reputation of Governor Hayes. Tilden must flex his credentials, attack the corruption in the Grant administration, and balance the interests of the North and South. Okay. Thomas A. Hendricks is the outgoing governor of Indiana. His presence on the ticket alone will certainly help in the crucial swing state of Indiana. While much of his agenda has been blocked by the Republican-controlled legislature, Hendricks has been noted as a reformer. He has also served as a senator and representative, giving him plenty of experience. Hendricks is also a well-known name across the country. For example, when the 1872 Liberal-Republican nominee Horace Greeley died, 42 of his 63 pledged electoral votes went to Hendricks. However, Hendricks is far more sympathetic to the Greenback cause, which will help or hurt the ticket depending on the state. Regardless, he is a very sensible choice, a popular governor with a clean record from a crucial swing state. Party leaders are expecting Tilden to pick Hendricks, given his strengths and lack of real weaknesses. Winfield Scott Hancock is the Major General and Civil War hero from Pennsylvania, who also sought the Democratic nomination this year. Although he's never held public office, his Union General status can help deflect attacks from those waving the bloody shirt. His most notable service during the Civil War was as a commander at the Battle of Gettysburg. He was also involved in Reconstruction, though he certainly favored the white Democrats in the military district he governed. He will help in Pennsylvania, and even Southern Democrats have much sentiment towards him. He has not taken a stance on the money issue. Party leaders would prefer someone such as Hendricks, but if Tilden is looking to win Pennsylvania, having the convention select Hancock will certainly help. Now, we're dealing with not long after the Civil War, so honestly, that's going to be a big attack since we're playing as a Democrat, so let's go with Winfield Scott Hancock. Okay. We have a few other things. Okay. A unified Democratic National Convention has nominated you with little trouble and much fanfare on the second ballot. It is important that your acceptance letter unify both the western and eastern wings of the party. What will you most emphasize during your acceptance letter? Let's see that map. Okay, we've got a good lead. And here's the issues: Reconstruction, tariffs, economics, civil war, corruption. So we'll be able to get a good idea. Okay. Let's avoid getting bogged down in the details and go on the attack. President Grant has presided over a litany of scandals as well as a major recession. Let's emphasize the economy. President Grant's inflationary Okay, we could do that. The Party of Preservation for the Union. We're running to put an end to Reconstruction so that the two halves of our nation might finally reconcile as one. Let's hammer in on our bread and butter issues. I stand against corruption, patronage, and machine politics. I welcome all the reformers in this country to join the democratic cause. Reform is your greatest appeal to the citizens of this nation. And actually, that looked like it hurt us some. Your selection of Pennsylvania General Winfield Scott Hancock has caused minor concern among the hard money faction, especially in the North. While your campaign say he has not taken a strong position, even if his state party has, he served this country with honor. Is it fair to wave the bloody shirt against a man who led at Gettysburg? He supports reconciliation between the North and the South, and his writings during the campaign shall indeed reflect that. Let's go with the military experience. This is a really strong argument and one of the upsides of Hancock on the ticket, which I think should help us. But that makes it closer. But still, Hancock not having a firm stance on the money issue, some advisors suggest you have him write letters, though they differ in what these letters should accomplish. What should he write to? He should write to the West and give his sympathy to the Greenback movement. They know that a return to the gold standard shall be done in a manner that minimizes economic woes. He should write back home to Pennsylvania. Okay. Pennsylvania, I think, is a little out of our reach, I think. Okay, let's see. Okay. This makes the most sense, all things considered. Okay. As governor of New York, you've had a brief but busy tenure. How do you wish your surrogates to emphasize this? I secured electoral success in the largest state of the Union, and I did so by standing up to the machine and supporting honest government. Let's emphasize my record of fiscal conservatism. Let's make sure to emphasize my record as a unifying one. As an anti-slavery Democrat and reformer, I am in a unique position to bridge the divide between North and South and move our nation towards a brighter future. I like this one. It's a good message for moderates who may be on the fence about voting for a Democrat. Okay. The Hamburg Massacre broke out yesterday in Hamburg, South Carolina. This racially and politically motivated attack saw black Republicans attacked by white Democrats, resulting in 6 deaths. How will your campaign respond to this? South Carolina hosts a Republican government propped up by a federal government more concerned with corrupt ties and protecting her own citizens. I condemn these attacks. I send my condolences to all the families of the victims and will quietly support a state investigation into how exactly something like this could take place. There's no need to bring this up. It would only serve to embolden the bloody shirt waving by Hayes. Let's condemn these attacks. An odd statement? Okay. At the Republican convention, dark horse candidate and Ohio Governor Rutherford Hayes was nominated for president. How your campaign address him? There isn't much we can attack him on. Let's just focus on the campaign against Grant. He's a radical Republican. Governor Hayes and the Republican platform have claimed to oppose corruption, but can America trust a Republican after such a disastrous 8 years under President Grant? Let's go with that one. Grant is certainly a weak spot. Okay. The financial panic of 1873 is still fresh in the minds of many citizens, and its effects are still being felt. How exactly would your administration tackle the economic issues of this day? The market is a complicated place, and any destabilizing actions could result in even more of a problem. By keeping to the gold standard, we will pull out. The Grant administration has not defined a clear strategy to combat this. We will keep the gold standard and stabilize the dollar. Let's do this. The gold standard has its supporters and detractors, and an attack on the Grant administration is to be expected. Okay. Oh, but Hayes is in the lead now. Okay. He has faced a decline in approval ratings lately, owing in part to a number of corruption scandals, such as the Star Route Post ring and the New York Custom House ring, among others. How he addressed these scandals, as well as the issue of corruption more broadly in your campaign? Truthfully, I think the blame for these scandals lay squarely at the president's feet. While he was a great general, President Grant was far too naive as to who he let in his cabinet. A good president vets his advisors very carefully, and as president, that's what I'll do. Let's hold off on the attacks on this issue. The American people know that Grant's administration was corrupt. We can provide a strong contrast with a clean reputation and strong record of reform. We need transparency in government. As president, I will push for new laws mandating greater disclosure of financial activity for cabinet members. We need strong congressional oversight of the White House cabinet first and foremost. As president, I will push for a law mandating greater Senate support for the confirmation of all cabinet members. Let's come. Advisors feel as though you're leaving something on the table here. Okay, I was trying to go for one that would emphasize our record, but okay. We need to reclaim some votes. Civil service reform is a major issue in the campaign. President Grant relied heavily on patronage during his administration, something which many Democrats have spoken out against. What is your position on patronage in the government? We should look into sensible reforms of civil service while disrupting the practice. We have had a patronage system in place for a while. It's simple. It has no place. The Republicans only oppose meritocracy because they want to put unqualified. Okay. So what your supporters want to hear. Colorado, a new admitted state, set to hold legislative elections, and the funds directly vote for electors is unavailable. Whichever party gains control of the Colorado General Assembly will be selecting 3 electors, which could prove decisive. Returns for these elections have begun to come in, and we expect Democrats to win. Fortunately, Republicans have won majority in the General Assembly, albeit they are slim. Therefore, Colorado will be sending a Republican electors. Okay. That's not good. Last year, a major civil rights law was passed by the Republican Congress and signed into law by President Grant. Did you support this bill, and will you support further civil rights protections as president? Support any needed effort to move our nation forward and reconcile the two halves of the country? I think it's best for me to comment. Okay. I say we go with that. You can't please everyone, but this answer gets you pretty close. Okay, now we've actually got it to pretty much the real life equivalent. In his acceptance letter, Governor Hayes has pledged to serve a single term if elected. Do you have any interest in doing the same? I'll draft up a letter doing so. It will be a unique way to blunt some of the governor's appeal. James Polk also pledged a single term and had a very successful 4 years. We'll see how this goes. Okay. Hayes is still in the lead. A major driver of Grant's economic boom was the construction of the Northern Pacific Railway, as well as heavy investments in the development of other railroads. It's thought that the speculative investments played a part in the crash. What will you say on the matter? Had nothing to do with irresponsible speculation from financial spending. These railroads were built with public funds for private gain. I support the cause of it. Let's see. This is what your supporters want to hear. Man, okay. This is going to be a close one. A newly formed Prohibition Party has nominated a ticket for president and vice president. Do you have any stands on temperance? Not particularly. I'm interested in seeing how this debate plays out. I'm open to some limitations on Sunday. Okay. A few advisors are asking you to give speeches outside of your residence in Albany. Are you willing to consider making speeches around here? Unique times call for unique measures. Giving speeches and inviting people to visit seems like an enjoyable way to meet our campaign supporters. It's unbecoming of a candidate to campaign in that manner. We will continue to write letters and send our surrogates around. Let's do it. It's a very bold move, but times are certainly changing. And that propelled us. We're winning. We just need to keep that victory. The Grant administration has pursued a moralistic crackdown on pornography, abortion, and polygamy to some success. Did you support the president's actions, and how will you address the issue of morality? Let's see. I mean, I think we got to, even though we're supposed to attack Grant, I think this is one thing we got to side with him on. The party is split. Okay. Man, that hurt us a lot. Liberal Republicans, once a possible threat to President Grant, have all but collapsed. Both Republicans and Democrats are courting their vote for this election. What move should the Democratic campaign take to appeal? I'm not concerned. I am concerned that let's talk to appeal. We mustn't ignore. Is clear as day. It's a good way to differentiate yourself from Hayes. In protest of both candidates' support for the gold standard, the Greenback Party has nominated inventor Pete Cooper. He could spoil multiple states for either you or Hayes. Is there any concern or precaution you should take? We cannot afford to change our position on the gold standard. However, perhaps Hancock should write a letter emphasizing our support for some relief. Perhaps we could wait until the return of economic prosperity to fully shift away from greenbacks. I'm concerned he could spoil the election for Hayes. We should put extra funds in Indiana and Nevada. Indiana. It's probably the best way to hurt the Greenbacks' appeal while staying true to your ideals. Okay, there we go. We got a good lead going. One way you can input the campaign is on the topic of finance. It has placed a lot of money in key states, but is there a specific state you wish for the party to focus on? The organization should place funds in the South, the Carolinas, Florida, and Louisiana. Florida, Carolinas, Louisiana, I mean, maybe. See, it says Republicans will make a strong push to win Indiana, Indiana and Ohio. We're winning both states, but honestly, it could be good to give ourselves a little bit of a boost. Pennsylvania, Illinois, or Wisconsin. Pennsylvania, Illinois, Wisconsin. I mean, that's not a bad place to put some money. New York. I mean, we've got a good lead in New York, so I say the South. These regions will face high conflict and high turnout, and they may be critical in the final tabulation. Okay. President Grant has overseen a significant drop in tensions involving the native population thanks to a comprehensive peace policy. On the other hand, several skirmishes have popped up as a result. Did you support this policy, and what are your plans for the natives in your administration? I'm not sure that he's done great. His focus on assimilation has caused unnecessary strife, and his use of religious organization has violated the separation of church and state. I absolutely support his policies here. Has laid a great foundation. Let's go with that. This answer is a bit outside the mainstream, but you're unlikely to make many waves here. Okay. Okay. Over the past year, a long debate in Congress has arisen with the fight over the so-called Blaine Amendment. This amendment, as a proxy for anti-Catholic sentiments, would see any and all federal aid to religious education blocked. What input do you have on this particular battle? House Democrats should dig their heels in. The version passed by the Democratic House is unfortunately not satisfactory. It's up to the Senate to vote with their conscience on the House's bill. There's no need for me to provide input on the amendment process when it has yet to complete. Your rationale makes sense. Voters do not want to see a government go what they would see as too far. A vast majority of Americans are religious. Okay. This campaign has been noted as an especially bitter and nasty one. Republican surrogates have been spreading around a lot of attacks. Some truth, some lies. Is there a specific attack you would like your surrogates to defend yourself on, or a specific attack you would like to hammer Hayes on? A nativist has no room becoming president. Republicans have been trying to accuse me as being sympathetic to secessionists. I will write a letter professing my support for the Union. Governor Hayes failed to pay his income tax. Republicans have been trying to accuse me of being a corrupt railroad lawyer. I mean, that's kind of a big thing. This is an attack against Hayes. Okay. Do you support the restoration of the gold standard through the Payment Resumption Act of 1875? Perhaps we could allow for some paper money to remain in circulation, but it's important we stick to the restoration of the gold standard. Let's go with this option. This answer is a bit of a compromise, but that may not be a bad thing. Okay. Over the past year, a large debate in Congress has arisen with the fight over the so-called Blaine Amendment. Okay. It's an assault on our liberties. This is the expected answer. Okay. We're doing pretty good. As Election Day wraps up, there have been reports of racial violence, electoral fraud, and tossing of ballots throughout the South, particularly in the states of Louisiana, Florida, South Carolina. Southern Democrats have made apparent that they will cede any challenges in exchange for the end of Reconstruction. Would you support such an agreement in the case of a contested election? Absolutely not. We're not going to hand over the keys to the White House because of Republican electoral fraud. Yes, I would. The time has come for the two halves of our nation to fully reconcile. Besides, with such a lousy economy, the American people are ready to move on from Reconstruction. Okay. How are we doing in those states? Florida, South Carolina, Louisiana. Florida, South Carolina. Those are all states that Hayes is winning. So, interesting, given the closeness of the race, unity might be exactly what the nation needs. Let's wait for the results to come in and see if a deal has to be made. Election night has arrived. Settle in and wait for the returns, however long it may take. Best of luck. Here we go. Hayes has taken Vermont, but I mean, until kind of recently in history, in the history of the country, that was kind of a safe Republican state. Okay. Okay, we're doing good so far. I mean, effectively at this point, if we get New York, we win, right? Congratulations, you won this year's election. Click OK to view the rest of the returns or skip straight to the final results. We hope you have a nice victory speech prepared for your supporters. Congratulations, You have won the 1876 election. Although you were considered the slight favorite to win, this doesn't take away from what this victory means. While it may have been close, neither side seems to doubt your victory. You'll be the first Democrat elected to the White House since James Buchanan in 1856, exactly 20 years ago. Democrats will maintain their control over the House of Representatives, whereas the Senate seems to be held by Republicans very narrowly. Where you go from here is up to you. You could likely pass much of your reform-minded policies with support from reformist Republicans. You're also expected to end Reconstruction as soon as possible. However, the Republican Senate might make this a challenge for you. If you can pass civil service and other reforms, winning re-election in 1880 will be no trouble at all. Best of luck, President-elect Tilden. Yep. And here's the map. Okay. And as you can see here, the contrast. So 218 is what we got this time. In real life, Tilden got 184. But look at that difference. We did better in the popular vote. We got like slightly over a point extra in the popular vote in this game. So, either way, that was the most controversial election in American history. But either way, that's it for this video. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.